Now we'd like to welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Oscar Kneppers, with a hard K. I did check. And he's the founder of Rockstart, and we're going to learn about his entrepreneurial experiences and reasons for starting the acceleration activities and what the ideal Dutch startup ecosystem should be. So let's welcome Oscar to the stage.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good to see you again. This is my third time in Osaka, and I was considering rebranding myself as HackOsaka2019. Maybe that's a good idea, and use the K again. Well, it's supposed to be a joke. Anyway, good to be back. I'm happy to share my story with you. We did a run-through before, so one of the things I realized was that if you have a company that is called Rockstart, my company, you have a couple of things that you can use. One is you get to wear black, you get to grow your hair, long hair, and to make a lot of noise. So my promise to you will bring you a lot of noise today, and see if I can inspire you to either build a company when you're in school or quit your job while you're at it. So build new companies, that's what it's about. I'm trying to awaken the entrepreneur within by helping people realize that if you get out of your comfort zone and step into this place of abundance, you know how to build a company. And then I will try to share with you what I've learned in listening to many different startups over the last 10 years in supporting them and helping them and investing in them, and what it means to build a company and why it is so important. This is where we generally are and try to be, right? Our comfort zone. It's nice and comfy and warm. It's a place that you know, people that you know. But nothing happens in your comfort zone. It's just nice. It's something to strive for, but once you're in it, my vision is you need to get out. Because if you step out of that comfort zone, you step into this place where the magic happens, where abundance rules. So I will prove it to you today. If you do that, make sure you surround yourself with the best people. That's the love for entrepreneurship and startups. My name, again, is Oscar Kneppers. I'm the founder of the last 15 years of 3 companies, and I'm sharing with you today what I've learned in building those 3. First is Emerse, second is Bright, and the last company I recently left. I'm still a shareholder, and I'm still an evangelist for this company, is Rockstart. Just a little bit about myself. First part, to establish some credibility in building companies and what it means. I was in my comfort zone more than 20 years ago, and I had a great job, a company car, a good salary, good reputation in this company, a big American publishing company. And that was nice, and this felt like I could do this forever. Until my boss came back from a business trip and he gave me this magazine, Fast Company, and it said, quit your job, work your butt off, screw up, and have the time of your life. And I saw this magazine cover and I felt this instant rush, goosebumps, and I knew this is what I want to do. So a week later, I resigned, I quit my job, and I announced I was going to leave in a couple of months in order to build my company. And I was getting out of that comfort zone because I had to give up everything I had, put in the money that I saved, and start a new company. So my first company, launched it a year later, was my first startup. It was called Emerse. And Emerse was the main source in e-business, and we were the leading, back then, paper magazine, and it's still around today. It's a media sort of brand after all these years. But when we started, we were just building many, many magazines in a short period of time. And I sold it in 2001. So that was the first sort of ride that I had. It was pretty short, a couple of years, and I knew what it meant to go from nothing to build something from nothing and make sure that it worked out, and it was successful. So I took some time off after that, started thinking about what I was going to do next. My next company was called Bright, which was about innovation, technology, design, and things we loved. So we tried to sort of get away from e-business as a business proposition, and we knew that we wanted to make the Mac amongst magazines, or the iPod for magazines. It was something that people wanted to hold. It was a small, tiny magazine, smaller than most magazines, and people sort of coveted it. The thing with Bright was that we learned that everything in technology is about, let's try it. So it became our motto, let's try it. And to show you some of the feeling that it meant to try stuff, short movie. So let's try it. What it mean? Let's try it. Just work with the stuff that you have. Let's try something and build something new. I sold it in 2008, a little over 10 years ago, and I prepared for my third venture. You know, building a company, starting a startup is all about risk, embracing risk, isolate yourself, and it's a lot of uncertain factors in your life. So that was startup number 3 in my life, and it involved living on a mountain with my family in Spain. So we quit everything in the Netherlands. We moved to the north of Spain in the Pyrenees. And people think you lie in the sun all day in Spain, but we lived in the Pyrenees in the mountains. It was minus 10 Celsius when we got there in this old horse shed. And we lived there, and we taught our kids schooling. We could do it then. And this was risk. Everything we did there was sort of for the first time. So it actually, of course, it's not a startup, but it involved all the factors that you need to build a company. But the first one being envision something and step forward and start something, do it. So that was sort of my short first 2 companies, plus a little third. And then I realized, okay, what's going on? I came back from Spain with my family, and I started thinking, what is happening in the world? This is back in 2010. And everyone I talked to felt that something was going on. We just had the crisis of 2008 in Europe, and stuff was sort of shifting, and I felt we need to tap into this. And after having built 2 companies myself, I started thinking, let's see if we can tap into this feeling that many people have in building new companies. 500 million people are working on new companies as we speak, maybe even more today. So we felt all these people start from scratch. They need some kind of help. And then I asked, why is this happening? And then I felt everything around us is changing. In order to understand the sort of sentiment of that time, I wrote a manifesto, and it taps into the feeling and the why of Rockstar, the why of the company. But first, I tried to figure out what it means today to build a company. And this is, let's say, the Rockstar DNA.
Look around you. Everything is changing. Companies, countries, structures, how people work, it's all in flux. We love it. Here's why. We're entering exciting times in an exploding entrepreneurial society. You thought corporations, banks, governments were looking after us? Well, they didn't. You want security? Safety? Stop looking around you. Find it here and now, in yourself. Take charge of your own destiny. This incredible time has made entrepreneurship attractive and more available than ever. It leads to endless opportunities for those ready to grasp it. Go on. Luckily, this change forces us to adopt an adventurous spirit, embrace change, love risk, live with uncertainty. We need to jump into the great unknown, look for adventure, seek out our own opportunities. Like the original explorers pioneered their way across seas and continents, we are faced with few compass points. Pioneers choose struggle. We choose a new route as yet uncharted. This is our adventure. We need to be part of it, to drive it, play with it, start it. When do we grow? Failure pushes us forward. Failure forces us to act. We believe in the power of failure. There's nothing wrong with it, so long as it's fully stretched and undeniably complete. What's worse? The feeling that you should have done more. Keep going. Entrepreneurial spirit is focused on you, doing your thing your way. That's why we love startups. All startups. Starting a company makes you a pioneer, a hero in the making. Startups are challengers, innovators, tenacious, risk-positive, visionary, driven, strong. We've pioneered our way to where we are today. We're here to give you rock-solid support in the first 1,000 days. We help you grow by pushing you forward. To start and proceed takes courage. It takes guts, madness even. You take a leap of faith and create your space to challenge, make, build, develop, experiment, construct, and thrive. Now that's why we love you. Step forward. Start.
Look around you, everything is changing. Step forward, start. To cut it to the two sentences, the first and the last. So this is the essence of what was going on 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and even today. This is what is going on. People sort of want to get out and do something, start something new. So our mission when we started out a little less than 10 years ago, 9 years ago, to build the world's greatest startup machine. And then people started asking, why startups? And I didn't have a clear answer at that time. So the only thing I could think of was startups are the rock bands in business. They're small teams. They set out to build something, to do something, and to share with the audience, with the rest of the world, what they have built. It's never about the money or anything that involves what rock bands are like startups. Small teams getting into this. So, hence the name Rockstar. So if the manifesto was the why, the how was, let's get teams, early stage teams, into our sort of machine and help them launch fast with a little bit of money and make sure that they can get follow-on money. So this is sort of the Rockstar cocktail. If you ask an entrepreneur, he or she says, well, I just need money and let's get going. And then if you really listen to them and talk with them and ask questions what they really set out to do, then you find out that they need mentoring, they need a space to work, they want to coach each other, so be in a space where they can help each other. They need access to capital. They might not even need capital, but access to capital later on. And knowledge transfer. They needed knowledge. So we built this sort of little machine in one space to help these startups. So what did we do? We launched a couple of things, the Rockstar Accelerator, the most known spaces, answers, and an impact program here in Asia. And we're the most known for the Accelerator program. So let me sort of zoom in. That's the most entrepreneurial part of it. We have 5 domains that we focus on: food, health, energy, deep tech, artificial intelligence, and front-end tech, let's say web mobile. So 5 domains, select out of hundreds of startups, teams, 10 teams, and help them in a short amount of time. I put them in this pressure cooker. And there's an extensive screening process, and it drew us to the top 10 that we pulled through this program. Out of the thousands of startups that we've seen, we have now invested in, coached 152 startups, and they're in these domains that I just mentioned. Many hundreds of jobs came out, and a total portfolio value of about 350 million. So many companies came out. They not all have been success stories, obviously, but hey, they started and they sort of got going. We'll get back to that later. 350 million in alumni value, and 50 new companies coming out every year. All the companies that we looked at, that we've invested in, and that we learned from were all innovation-driven, technology-oriented, globally scalable companies. 70% of the companies came from abroad to the Netherlands back then, and then we branched out to South America. So we now have 2 hubs and a new one starting in Denmark soon. Every day, it is about surrounding our startups with the best people, with all the love that we can bring to them. And this is the essence, I guess, the software of what we add instead of money and a space. It's the mentorship. The mentors help the startups get through the first phase. And in the first 5 years, we sort of grew to many spaces. And to give you an impression what it felt like and the energy that comes free when you see people building companies. Again, a short movie. And this is the noise I promised. So the early years of building a company, lots of energy. Great. So this is the one slide I want you to remember. I'll send it to you. At the end of my presentation, there's my email address. If you send me, drop me a line, I will send you this one slide. Stick it on your wall, put it in your wallpaper. This is the essence of what I want you to remember. Getting out of your comfort zone, that's the essence. So let's try it, that's it. So in supporting many hundreds of startups over the last 8 to 9 years, we have learned a couple of things, and we boiled it down to the 5 Rockstar mantras. I will send this one to you as well, so you don't have to write it down. The 5 sort of universal mantras that are meant for people to sort of get inspired and also to keep in mind, because it's lonely. It's lonely if you build a company. Every entrepreneur knows, so this is something that helps you go through it. So the first mantra, step forward, start. You may understand that it is more comfortable where you are sitting right now than where I am standing, right? So step forward, start means get out of this comfort zone that you're used to and start doing something. So again, step forward, start, get out of this little circle and get into the space of abundance. And this is one example. The guy here on the left is called Brian Garrett, a Dutch guy. He used to work for this fantastic company. They were building high-end 3D printers, and the printers were getting bigger and better and bigger and better, more capacity. And it didn't compute because he thought, I'm going to work for a company that's about distributed manufacturing. So you make one thing and you can send it to other parts of the world where it's locally produced, 3D printing. So he had this vision for, let's say, an Airbnb for 3D printing. And working at this company, he felt we were making bigger machines, so we end up building factories, right? And I wanted to, this promise of this distributed thing, he wanted to build that. So his vision was in this company where he was very comfortable, good salary, and he told us later that at our selection day, he decided when he was not selected yet, whatever happens, I'm going to quit my job, get out of my comfort zone, and build this company according to my vision. And the vision was called 3D Hubs. 3D Hubs was his vision for, let's say, an Airbnb for 3D printing. So he quit his job, but he got selected for the Rockstar Accelerator. And we are very happy with that. And he also always expresses his happiness about running through the program. But we didn't know back then that his vision was spot on. So a year later, he raised his first funding, around 5 million. A year after that, he had 23,000 printers connected. And a year after that, he had more connected machines than McDonald's has restaurants in more countries. So for him, this is what it meant to get out of this comfort zone, to step forward and start fulfilling your dream. First mantra, step forward, start. The most important one. It starts with the first step. Second one, don't do it alone. I started my first 2 companies alone. Wow, that was hard and that was lonely. Find other people that cover your back, that know what's happening on the other side. The expertise that you have is to start a company, but it might not be the expertise you need in growing. So team up, do it. Plus, look for the people that sort of support you in what you're building. So what we look for at Rockstar, and I know that many accelerators do this, is sort of the triple H formula, and that is look for the hacker, the hipster, and the hustler. So the hacker is the engineer. The hipster is the one making it look good, designer in most cases, and the hustler is the one selling it. So the hacker, the hipster, and the hustler. Easy to remember. And it applies to many tech-oriented, innovation-driven companies. So build a team. Why? Because it is important, and also because it's way more fun. Look.
You're always thinking about the company, like can we do something to make it better, or should I be working on it right now?
Staying up late, finishing your work, and then wake up early again.
Many times it's kind of like scaling a mountain, but it's all foggy, so you don't really know where you're going or when it's going to end. Every now and then you sort of reach like a high patch where you get to see the view of everything you've done so far.
As you grow and as your company grows, I think that's when you start committing more and more. It is like falling in love in that way.
So it's really good to see that they actually help each other with tools, with knowledge, and grow from there.
Pitches are starting to get there, but it's not nearly what it should be at the end of the day.
They know where they need practice, and that's what they should do, put their hearts in it.
There's a room full of people that came out to see you. So you're there for them. Go on stage, have a lot of fun, but make it very clear that you have a great story and a great pitch, and then it will be a great day.
Giving up? No, not a chance.
Of course not.
No, never.
Never. We're pirates.
Rock the stage.
Never. Giving up? Never. We're pirates. I love that quote. Third mantra. I promise I will stop talking soon. So, third mantra is stop talking. I have a very, very good dear friend, and he is like this guy. And we all have this friend, right? Everyone has this friend that always talks about his idea or her idea about LinkedIn or Facebook and whatever big companies, growing companies, new companies, revolutionary companies are coming up with. He says, this friend of mine, hey, you remember I had this story and I was thinking of this, but he never stopped talking. And what you have to do is stop talking and just start building. That's mantra number 3. Stop talking, start building. It's that easy. Stop talking, start building. So if you start building, one of the easiest ways is to use this build, measure, learn cycle. And this is an oldie but a goodie. The build, measure, learn cycle means you have an idea and you don't build the end product and then wait for 3 years to launch it. You start building a little thing, you make a product, you put it into the market, you measure the results, you learn from the data that you assemble and that you get out of the market, and you get back to your idea, you adjust it, you pivot, you build, you measure, you learn. The build, measure, learn cycle. So stop talking, start building. When it comes to learning, one of the things in the cycle, right? Learn, build, measure, learn. When it comes to learning, learning is essential when you build a company, and be open for everything that sort of comes in your way. And the one word I learned, the new word I didn't know, I heard it before, but was pivot. And pivot is the ability to get rid of everything that you've done, invested in, had an estranged family for, spend all your savings on, and then step away from it and pivot. It means being able to pivot is being able to let go and to start all over again. So learn, pivot, start over. That is mantra number 4. Starting over sucks, really. It feels like this. Starting over feels like failure, but it's not. It's just learning how to not do it. I know this is so obvious, but you have to keep reminding yourself it's okay to fail, and fail as fast, as often as you can, in order to learn. Okay, you can weep for a short time, and you can feel what went wrong, and then we get to the last mantra, which is my favorite, to keep up. So don't give up, but keep up and keep going. So mantra number 5 is the last of the 5 mantras. So the first one is step forward, start, and don't give up too soon. Keep up and keep going. And I end this presentation with an entrepreneur that really inspired me very, very much. And it's not your typical entrepreneur, but it's someone who sort of knows what it means to fail and fail and fail again and again, and then get up again. And what that means is best reflected in one of the movies that was made about a thing that he was getting into. You could call it a startup. So listen to what he has to say. It's a nice movie, but it's not a typical entrepreneur. But what he does is talk about the things, what it means to take risk. And these are the words that are really essential. So one of his quotes is, I had to learn new stuff, I had to keep going, and had to risk myself. Tony Hawk. Sorry?
Pressure has certainly made me perform better. The only way to get recognized was through competition. A lot of people will reach the top of their ranks, and then they just cruise. I had to learn new stuff. I had to keep going. I had to risk myself. That's why I started trying 900s. To me, that was the holy grail. A 900 is a skateboard trick. It's basically a 2.5 spin in the air. The X Games came around 1999, and they had a best trick event. 20 minutes on the ramp, do your best trick. While I was doing it, I didn't care if it counted. I didn't care if there were no people there. I was either gonna make that thing or I was gonna get taken out in an ambulance. I think that's what separates the people who succeed and the people who don't. Those who can really do it when it absolutely counts and pull it out when it seems like all odds are against you. I didn't believe I had made it until I saw everyone rushing around. And that's when I realized that it is. It's not a competition, it's time-based. You just make it happen, you kind of force it. Sometimes you get hurt, but that's the best way to get hurt.
I love the last quote. So to end with the last quote from this one, sometimes you get hurt, but it's the best way to get hurt. Thank you for your attention. Enjoy your day and quit your job.
Thank you.